Workout by Rhuar. Well, let me tell you something about me. I'm a knockout. 100% pure man. I bone for fun. I mean, I don't have to work for it. If I told you I used to work at a gym, you might not be surprised. But it wasn't just any gym. It was exclusive. A place where they hired the best instructors. And that's how I came across Kramer. Before I met the guy, I was warned. My manager gave me this big lecture about how we were going to have a customer in with a special demand who'd requested me by name because I was known to be the best. Jeez, he talked such bull most of the time. Anyway, the message was, whatever this guy wants, you give it to him. He was going to have his own studio at the back of the gym, separate from everything else. Nobody could know. When he finally told me who it was, I was kind of disappointed. I was hoping for somebody like Michelle Obama. What I got was a punked-up 50-year-old rocker. Sure, I'd heard of the great Massacre, or Kramer Otley as he was known when offstage. He was the king of goth, but I'd never listened to his music. That shit was just noise and self-loathing. So, the guy rocked up to the gym one day, and I wasn't quite sure how to play him. Something put me off the, hey buddy, slap him on the back and talk about women approach. But I wasn't sure about the kiss his ass because he's a star and he's really fucking important approach either. He was bigger than I expected, tall and kind of built. Not like an instructor, but when you've worked with people in this industry, you get an eye for the ones that were meant to live. He had these big tattoos that covered pretty much his whole body, serpents sliding down both arms, with the heads tattooed on his hands. He talked about not being a gym rat, how it was important that his fans didn't know he went to a place like this, because it would spoil his image. He said image was everything, and looked at me like he was going to kill me. Tell me about it, I said, giving my muscles a flex. Maybe this spaced-out junkie was looking to connect. I laughed, but he didn't, so I shut up. Anyway, after he'd walked the room a little, pacing it like a prison cell, he sat down. Then he started talking again, and it turns out he's after a little role play. Not like George Michael in a toilet type role play, well, not yet anyway. Just motivational. He wanted me to push him, keep him on his toes. Easy, I thought. I do that all the time. This guy really doesn't know a thing about gyms. That's pretty normal, I tell him. The guy backs off from the word. No, he told me, what he wanted probably wasn't quite normal. He wanted me to swear at him, call him names, really get on top of him. Well, my manager had said anything goes, and it didn't bother me. Then he pulled out a list. A fucking list of terms he wanted me to use. He came up real close, eyeball to eyeball, and shouted them in my face. I mean, I took it. I didn't look scared or anything, but I wasn't comfortable either. Fucking pussy, cock whore, waster prick, ghetto scum, twisted felch. I know I could have pulled out then. I knew this was a little weird. But I had my eye on a new road bike, and my manager talked special bonuses, and anything goes. So I just said, yeah. It was a little bit odd at first, but after a few classes, I got the hang of it. None of my other clients let me abuse them in this way. I started to save up my frustrations from the week and just let rip right in his face. But it didn't stop there. After a couple of months, he turned up to class with another request. He told me he wanted a little more make-believe. Shit, I thought, where is this going? He threw down a green army kit bag at my feet. I opened it, and inside was a set of military fatigues of the kind, Kramer told me, worn by the recruiting sergeants of the U.S. Marine Corps. I was to be the sergeant, he was the rookie. I know what you're thinking. I could have just told him I wasn't his guy. I could have said that, right? But I didn't. I was getting mad bonus cash from the boss, and to tell you the truth, I was enjoying it. I practiced in the mirror. I looked at myself and thought, yeah, hell, I could get through training, no problem. 1, 2, 3, 4, United States Marine Corps! The next morning, I got in early and set the studio up with climbing ropes, vault box, and a set of monkey bars. With a step routine and a playlist of Full Metal Jacket and Team America, we had a workout. I'll break him, I told myself as his car pulled in behind the gym. I won't lie, the role came easy. With my usual middle-aged banker and lawyer clients, it was the encouragement that they got them off. The fitter I made them think they were, the more classes they paid for. But I realized, as Private Otley fell from the rope for the 3rd time, whilst I abused him for being more garbage man than Spider-Man, that I had his voice in the back of my head throughout my classes. When I was telling somebody that they were doing great, what I was really thinking was, "That's not a squat thrust, you no-good horse son of a bitch!" The routine worked for a few months, until one morning he turned up in his gray tracksuit again. I called him to attention, but Private Otley did not respond. He just threw a black duffel bag at my feet and left. I opened the bag. The first thing that I took out was a whip. Oh shit, I thought. This is getting weird. It was followed by a red tailcoat, wool pants, a silk waistcoat, and a pair of shiny black shoes. Inside the pocket was a neatly typed message. "You are Lockhart, the ringmaster. I am Bozo, the clown who ran away. As a result of my truancy, you will have to get me back into shape and back into the ring. You will mock me to my face and to the audience at large. I will be captured in about a month." I know what you're thinking. Perhaps this was the moment to say enough is enough and call it quits. But I didn't want to. I was excited by the idea. The next day, a man arrived at the gym to measure my head and provide me with a bespoke silk top hat. I felt like $1 million, like a star. As I stood in front of the mirror checking out the way my chest bulged out of the red tailcoat, I knew that I'd moved up in the world. When I asked my manager if I could make some modifications to the studio area, he told me that he was surprised it had taken so long for me to ask, and that I could do whatever I wanted. But he did not, under any circumstances, want to know the details. The account, he said, was unlimited. Weird, right? Well, by the time Master Kerr came back, the studio was a circus tent, complete with disco ball, a sawdust floor, trampoline, and a mini trapeze. I'd stopped short of hiring some circus entertainers, but only just. I didn't need to worry. He brought his own. A black van pulled up and 3 hefty clowns lifted him by his jacket and hauled him in front of me. "We found him, master," the Pierrot said as he presented his captive, who they pushed to the ground in front of me. "He won't run away again, master." Kramer looked up at me with contempt. His red nose looked faded, as though he tried to remove the evidence of his clown identity. "Take him inside, boys." I felt bigger than the world. I set him to running routes around an obstacle course I created with the circus gear. The clowns just sat around laughing and making jokes about how slow he was and how big his ass looked in his pants. Did I mention his pants? They decked the man out in prison garb, black and white hoops. Boy, did those clothes make him sweat. It continued like that for weeks. I got better with the whip the more I used it. I started cracking it just behind his ear so that he jumped or yelled like a dog. Each time that happened, the clowns would go crazy, shouting and cheering. And there I was in the middle, commanding it all. This was my show. Fuck Bozo. It was right there, about then, that something changed. Not in the routine, but in me. I stopped caring about my other classes.
I'd pace the floor of the circus when Kramer wasn't there and visualize the next performance. I'd meet the clowns after work and learn new words, new moves. We'd get shit-faced and they'd talk about turning Bozo into some kind of freak show as punishment, or selling him on to another troupe. Then they'd look to me for encouragement, like I was the one who made the decisions. And it's not like I could say, I know what you're thinking, I should have pulled away then, because by then I couldn't. I wasn't thinking in that way anymore. I wasn't really sure what I wanted, but I knew that it started with crossing a line and making sure that that no-good skull-fucking son of a bitch knew who was the master. The moment the clowns dragged his sorry ass through the door the next day, I knew the time had come. The first crack of my whip brought howls of laughter from the clowns. They all came forward to get a closer look, excited and tense. I caught him right on the ass as he jumped through the hoop. He went over forwards in a kind of barrel roll, but got up quick and kept going. So I hit him again, this time right between the shoulder blades, and the clowns went even wilder and came closer. I could smell them and feel them shuffling around behind me. Bozo was not going down easy. And that's what I wanted, right? I wanted him to go down. Or did I? I wasn't sure. At the third strike, he ducked like some superhuman sense had told him where the whip would go. He rolled sideways and came up standing, facing me, his arms hanging down, his face wild with something like fear or excitement or lust, but not quite any of those things. The clowns were going apeshit, hooting and hollering and screaming obscenities. They fanned out into a ring with Bozo in the middle. I hesitated for the briefest moment, and I heard my manager's voice saying, "Whatever this guy wants, give it to him." I pointed with the whip in the direction of the trapeze, and the clowns opened a space for him, but Bozo didn't move. He looked around him at the other clowns, who stared back like a pack of hungry hyenas, and then he made a break for the door, but the clowns caught him. It took 3 of them to bring him under control as he bucked like a mule. I saw the shock jump from his eyes and then disappear, replaced by a kind of surrender. The clowns saw it too. Something ran through us like electricity. This time, there would be no way out. Bozo was staying with the circus.